morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. We hope it is good. Welcome to another edition of Geeks Who Like Sports. As always, I'm Ray Carcillo in beautiful Los Angeles, California. Joined by my best friend in the entire world over in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, Lee Elias. Lee, how are you doing today?
I would like you to give Philadelphia a descriptive word. You always say beautiful Los Angeles, California, which is true some of the time.
Mm-hmm.
I'm kind of laying it out here on a platter for you, Ray. I hope you pick up on it in a nice way. I doubt that's going to happen. So beautiful Los Angeles, California. And I think every episode you have to come up with a new descriptive word of Philadelphia. Go
And
ahead.
Nick Castellanos, deep fly ball to left field, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania.
Casey Owasco, one of our loyal listeners, is going to really appreciate you brought that name up, Ray, because when
Yes.
tragedy strikes, Captain Strikeout hits home runs.
That's exactly what
Right?
happens.
That's
he's good for 25 tragedies a year.
Yeah, we won't go too deep into it, Ray, but it is a curious thing. For those of you who don't know, Nick Castellanos is one of the Philadelphia Phillies. He's an outfielder, and he always, you can look this up.
You can set your watch to it.
Yeah, hits a home run on a day that a tragedy strikes the country, the world. I mean, it's terrifyingly accurate.
Yeah.
It's got to be one of the greatest coincidences in history, because there's no way that the fate of mankind depends on Nick Castellanos' bat. The funny thing about Nick Castellanos, Ray, is he's kind of a dick. Like if he knows you, you can tell he's the type of guy, if he knows you and respects you, he's going to be great to you.
And that's why he fits in Philly.
He really does. Right. Yeah. Like if you ask him a stupid question on an interview, he's going to give you a stupid answer. He has no time for any of your bullshit.
And to be fair, more athletes should call out reporters for asking stupid questions.
I would too. Yeah. I mean, they're people too. But Ray, the breaking news here today, in the past, we've done non-sponsors of the week. We've done the DoorDash Dash of the week. Last week, we talked about my balls. Which are still for sale on hockeywrapper.com and Amazon. You can help feed a dog for a day if you buy a 3-pack of, say it, Ray.
My ball.
My ball. But there's 3, Ray. Say it. If there's 3 of them, they are
my balls.
You did it. Okay. It's a comedy show. This week, everybody listening to this show, I need you to do something really special. Okay. And it's actually your duty to do this. My man Ray here performed live at the Fourth Wall Comedy Cafe recently this past week. And he's going to be sharing some footage of that across the interwebs. And it is our civic duty as a fan of Ray to make sure that that's shared, commented on, and put out there so he can be discovered as the comedian he has always been. And also fulfill my lifelong goal of, we talk about Ray being the couch potato, of me just sitting there not speaking, which would make a lot of people happy, Ray.
Yeah.
You were telling jokes and I was just there on stage sitting. I'm like the side piece to the whole thing. I don't say a word. You'll just drag me through your comedy life, the drugs, the alcohol, the women, all of it. I'll be there just watching, making sounds like
the Ed McMahon to my Johnny Carson.
I'll be your Ed McMahon. But seriously, my friends, Ray's going to be sharing some of this footage. He just killed it the other night, by all accounts, right? And it's our job to support him here. He's always had a knack for this. Let's get Ray out there a little bit more. Share these videos, comment on these videos, and then share them again. And then once you share them, Ray, share them again, because we got to get Ray out there. The world needs peace, but also Ray.
Yes. Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it.
We need Nick Castellanos to stop hitting home runs and Ray to be the Joker that we need. He's not the Joker we need, but he's the one we deserve.
That's right. Yes, we're going to talk about the Joker later in the show, but I appreciate that, Lee. Thank you. Yeah,
that's the thing this week, people. That's the thing.
Yes,
do that thing.
Yes, it's a good sign. I mean, not to toot my own horn, but when the club owner, obviously tells you did a great job, and even when the camera people at the club, because that's how I obviously got my footage, tell you did a great job. Camera people don't normally do that.
No.
But when the camera people tell you did a great job, it kind of feels good. And obviously,
and I will say this too about Ray. Everybody listening, to be great at things like this, you got to prepare. You got to do the work. Ray does the work. He does it, and he works hard. Something he wants. Let's help him out. That's our job. So that's going to do it for this week's edition of Geeks Who Like Sports.
No, we got a whole show. But also, by the way, folks,
baseball and the basketball.
If you are in the LA area, I will also be at Flappers on Wednesday evening at 7:30 p.m. in the LA area. That's in Burbank. So I'm doing another show at the Yoo-Hoo Room.
For me to help all of you, at Ray Carcillo across the Mediaverse. Follow that man, and you'll see that. We will be also sharing his comedy on our channel, because we will try and collaborate with Ray the best we can. Follow Ray. at Carcillo. Ray at Ray Carcillo. 2 L's. Thank you for
Yes,
coming.
2 L's.
Thank you for watching.
Yes.
There we go.
Oh, all right. So
You're an all-star, Ray. You're an all-star.
Yeah. We got a lot to talk about today, folks. Actually, it might be a quick show. There's because we're right on the cusp of the Olympics. We're right on the cusp of Comic-Con. So a lot of stuff hasn't. We are expecting a big show next week.
Yes.
Smaller show this week. Because these things kind of balance out. But we do have some. We have a little bit of movie news, a little bit of TV, a little bit of sports, a little wrestling. But we're gonna kick things off with the All-Star Game.
Yep, it happened. Moving on.
Yeah, no. Kind of not surprising, not a bad game. The American League beat the National League 5-3. It's I believe the 10th time in the last 11 years the American League beat the National League.
So stupid.
And
so
Jarren Duran, yeah, no, it's Jarren Duran of the Red Sox was the MVP because he hit what would be the game-winning 2-run home run. Shohei Ohtani provided all the offense for the National League with a 3-run home run. And the American League Aaron Judge and
every Philly got a hit.
Every Philly got a hit. Aaron Judge and Juan Soto were a big part of the offense to help retie the game at 3 after Ohtani gave the National League the lead. So really a good showing for our teams.
Yeah.
But Jarren Duran of the Red Sox stole the show with the 2-run home run that would win it. And good for him.
Nobody cared. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. And of course we mentioned, last week, Teoscar Hernandez won the home run derby. We talked about that on last week's show.
Yeah.
But
I watched the derby this year. My boy Alec Boehm did pretty well in that, but you know, it's the same. It's just there's nothing to it, right? Like the All-Star game, like doesn't have the same luster. Now I will tell you this, Ray, and I'm not necessarily trying to transition out of this. I did watch the WNBA All-Star Game because that was far more interesting than any other All-Star game this season, right? And I did watch the whole game, and it was exciting and it was fun, and there was kind of something on the line. Tremendous storylines. Like this was actually done well.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we can't transition because there's not really much else to say about the
baseball game happened. We're back to the regular season, back to your regular scheduled programming.
Yes. Yeah. Yankees went 2-2, have gone 2-2 so far since the break. The Red Sox have lost 4 in a row.
Somehow we lost our series to the A's, but that's time for another story.
The A's are scrappy for a team that has nothing. For the A's that have nothing to play for, they have a lot of good young prospects as they'll probably trade them all at the deadline as they become baseball's farm team.
Yes.
Anyway, because
also
they don't want to pay anybody because they have the worst owner in sports. But in WNBA, the WNBA All-Stars beat Team USA. I think it was 114-109. Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark did all right. Reese had 12 points. Clark had 4 points and 10 assists.
Reese did fantastic. I mean, and Caitlin Clark's assist total was insane. Like it's easy to forget the rookies. Like these were dominant players in the game. They weren't the MVP. All right. But they were these are rookie players that were not selected for Team USA. Now, just for those of you listening, it's not the first time they've done this. In the Olympic years, Team USA typically plays the WNBA All-Star team, which would in a lot of ways be the backup Olympic team, although there are some international stars in the WNBA All-Star team, obviously. But I think it's really cool to see Team USA take on an All-Star team, right? Because you're invested in both teams.
Yes,
it's really cool.
Yeah, it's a great idea. It's a great idea.
The second thing too is iron sharpens iron, right? Like they're this is probably the best team Team USA will play. I'm not trying to make that against any other country. Like this is the best the WNBA has to offer. That's the best league in the world against the best USA players in the world. So it was really exciting. And then obviously there's the storyline, and I'm going to say it. It's not just Caitlin Clark, but also Angel Reese, both not being selected for that team. And they had a really, really solid game. Right. And again, I don't think you need more proof that they should have been heavily considered for the team. I do understand the selection process for Team USA was based on a little bit of politics and, they don't want to give Caitlin everything, but I still think that was an oversight, but it was 100%. A fantastic game. Really fun to watch.
Yeah. And, and actually just to bring it back to baseball too, there's now talks. There's two big things that came out of the All-Star game that for baseball that they realized they're probably making mistakes. First off, everybody hates all these stupid uniforms. Desperately, please let it go back to where the players can wear their normal uniforms when they're on the field.
They'll never do that. Too much money in the All-Star uniforms.
It's awful. It's terrible. Rob Manfred is awful and needs to go in front of the bus. He's the first He's the first person to get hit by the bus today because we're gonna have more later on. Yeah. And then the other one is that there's been talks about doing a USA versus international team for the All-Star Game for baseball because American, especially with interleague play, the American League versus National League thing, that appeal has worn off. That gimmick has worn off.
Boring.
It used to be the only other time you could see that would be in the World Series. Now it's with interleague play, with everybody playing each other. Yeah, so WNBA there not only doing a great job with their All-Star Game, but starting to inspire the other sport that takes place in the summer, which is baseball, and desperately goodness knows they need it. So
well, and Ray, here's a few ideas, right? You could do USA versus an All-Star team, or you could do a rotating country versus an All-Star team. Like you could do USA versus, you could do Japan, you could do the Caribbean, just obviously merge Dominican, Puerto Rico, Cuba. You could all those nations together if you wanted to, or I mean, they could probably field their own team, to be honest with you. Like there's a lot of different ways you could do this that would be interesting. And what I like about the All-Star format against a national team or a team for a country is that I don't want to say it's okay if Team USA loses, but it's understandable, right? It's a great competition, right? Like I said, what I liked about the WNBA game was I wanted both teams to win. Like I wasn't necessarily rooting for one or the other. It was just a great game. It might have been the best WNBA game I've seen because they were playing. They were really playing.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. It's not the regular NBA, the NBA All-Star Game where it's 200 to 190 because nobody's playing defense, not doing anything. Yeah.
Well, and look, there was a sequence there. You can find this online where Plum was right on Clark, like defending her. And the reason why was she's trying to challenge herself against one of the best players in the world.
Yeah. To get ready for the International Olympic.
Yeah. It's like there's a little more at stake here. In terms of how that runs. Anyway, I just thoroughly enjoyed the WNBA All-Star Game much more than any other All-Star game I think I've watched in years. I love that format. Again, in the previous 2020 or 2021 All-Star Game, same thing happened. The WNBA stars beat Team USA, and the Team USA went on to win the gold.
Yeah.
Right. And again, the Olympics are coming. We'll have a lot of coverage on that. The Team USA men's team off to a typical slow start, right? They're sneaking wins by. Yeah. Proving once again that the dream team will never be repeated ever.
Yeah.
That's the greatest basketball team of all time. I am sure they would go and win every game against every team they've ever played. Even if you put them on the court today, I think they'd kill them. But
absolutely.
Yeah, it was really fun, really cool. So great job on the women of the WNBA combined, right? And Team USA for putting on a really fun game. And, Ray, I'll tell you this. There are people texting me now that these are people, I would say this, you would never think these people would watch the WNBA. Just the way they handle themselves or the way that they're did you see Caitlin Clark's assist? Are you watching? Like they're watching. People are really watching this and enjoying it. And I think that's the coolest thing in the world. I think you're going to see expansion in the WNBA real soon.
I agree. Yeah.
All right. I would not be surprised if several teams pop up in the next 2 to 3 years.
Or even come back. Like, I mean, we've talked about this before that like the Houston Comets, the team that won the first 4 championships in WNBA history and then had to contract during the dark days of the league. Like start bringing some of these teams back that have these markets that have lost teams too.
I would love to see Philadelphia have a team, right? Yep. So I just think it's really cool because, this was turning my head before, but when some of these, I'll just say gruffled older Gen X people are saying, hey, did you see Caitlin Clark's assist last night? I'm like, this is pretty awesome because I am watching. Like when I see it on the TV, I turn it on. Another win for me this week. My daughter sitting next to me on the couch. We watch Phillies. We watch some sports. And she goes, Dad? I go, yeah, Lena. She goes, can we watch hockey? I was like, do you want to watch hockey? She's like, I want to watch hockey. And I had to explain to her that it's tough to watch hockey in the summer, but I can put something on. And then she wants to watch hockey, Ray.
Yeah. Oh, that's wonderful.
And then I'm sitting there like, don't ruin this for her. Don't ruin this for her. Just stay calm. This is good. This is a good thing.
Go find some old tapes, some old highlights, some old Stanley Cup footage.
This is Jeff Bookaboom. His name is how he played.
Yes. Boom. Right?
They should rename checking Bookabooms. Can you imagine that on the call? Yeah. Here he comes down.
Oh, what a Bookaboom. What a Bookaboom. Oh, that'd be fantastic.
Big bada boom.
Yeah.
That's from the 2000s or 90s. All right, listen, great job. That's our sports segment.
Well, actually, remember there's one.
It's our transition to the
Yes,
geeks.
it's yes,
We always use
transitioning
this
into
for that.
geeks.
Yes.
It's we're talking a little bit about TV here, but it's
Okay,
also
hold on.
wrestling.
Ray, there's a note here for wrestling. You're going to talk about Max? Max. Max. Max
Oh my goodness. I mean the way the show they've been putting on lately, it might be more but
That's the French term for
yes.
AEW.
Yes, AEW, it sounds like, at least on paper, it sounds like they are coming to an agreement with Max to start putting the pay-per-views also on Max. It's gonna be interesting to see how the revenue share goes with the company. Obviously, how this may affect AEW's bottom line, because they are still doing the old school model for pay-per-views. But I mean, this is something that should have happened for a long time ago. I mean, AEW is on TBS and TNT. Obviously, that is the Max, that is part of the Warner Brothers, which is the Max parent company.
Right.
Obviously, they have a deal going on. I mean, and you see what the success that WWE has had. You see the $5 billion deal they made with Netflix. The fact that AEW didn't counter with this sooner just shows how dumb Tony Khan is, and that he needs to, this should have happened sooner. I mean, again, I also understand dealing with David Zaslav, another guy we're going to put in front of the bus, just because as soon as we mention his name, automatically in front of the bus, David Zaslav. I get maybe that dealing with him is not as easy as you'd want it to be, but this is a no-brainer. AEW should have been on Max a long time ago, and this will be a huge help for them, I think, going forward. And also in terms of increasing their audience, which has been dwindling month after month. Lee, what are your thoughts?
Do you think Tony Khan wore his neck brace into that meeting? Guys, please. Look, yeah, it's a good move. I mean, Max, or HBO, as we used to call it, really it's kind of like 7 years ago. They're clinging on to Game of Thrones, the House of the Dragon, as this is why you should be on Max. And they do need things, but again, Ray, as predicted years ago by both of us, you're seeing the consolidation now of the streaming services into big conglomerate cable company giants, which they will pay us and get their money back. The only benefit to the consumer is that we can choose, right? We can choose what we do and don't want, and we can have it on for a few months and off for a few months. But AEW needs some creative direction. It's just such a classic mistake, Ray. It's like, the WWE just sat there and waited and did what they do best and figured it out. And amidst what could have been a terrifyingly horrible blow, they somehow spun that, which is what they do, into the greatest triumphant moment possibly in WWE history.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, it's in the conversation, and AEW just kind of didn't do anything. They just kind of watched. And it's like, they should have totally read the playbook on WCW versus WWF at the time.
They made all the same mistakes as WCW.
All the same mistakes. And it's like, this is what happens when I think you have people like Tony Khan at the helm. So I can say the same thing for Vince, right? Like, it's just, you overstay your welcome and you can't see past anything. You probably have everyone telling you that you're such a great idea. It's such a great idea. Right. And then, I mean, I'm going to say it, man. Triple H saved wrestling in a lot of ways. All right. Because, it's interesting. It's a good move by AEW. Hopefully that they can take some guidance here and turn it into something. But when people have a choice, they're going to choose what feels right.
Absolutely, 100%. And right now, WWE is clicking on all cylinders. Their crossovers with TNA have been phenomenal.
It's fun.
It's really fun.
Yeah.
It's just fun. Every show, every day, even NXT now again, after losing its stride for a while, it's fun. There was a time with WWE where it was like, I don't know if I want to watch this tonight, but it's like, you want to watch it.
Yeah. It's fun.
Yeah. It's 100%. And can't wait. SummerSlam's in 2 weeks. So gonna watch that too. That's in Cleveland, which
that'll be the next pivot.
Is a terrible place to probably have SummerSlam. But anyway, I don't know. I've only been to Cleveland for like a few hours and was like, I don't need to be here much longer anymore. So sorry, Cleveland.
That was Omaha, Nebraska for me. I never need to go back there again.
Never been, but I can definitely.
You don't need to do it. We don't need to go there again. I've done it for both of us, Ray, and it was enough.
The only thing I would go there for is, I know sometimes they do the don't they do the baseball World Series or college baseball World Series there, I think, right?
I would go for that with you. Sure.
Yeah.
and then get the hell out of there as fast.
And then we get out of there as fast as possible.
Yeah. I would do that with you.
Like I have a friend from Omaha, and like they're like, we just got our second traffic light, and I'm like, congratulations.
Ooh, boy.
So,
wow. Yeah. Listen, this is one of those places where city folk like you and me,
we don't look, folks. It's
only
not
enjoy
personal.
that.
If you are in Omaha listening to this, it's not personal.
It's not personal.
We're busting your balls. We're teasing you. We're not like,
listen,
we are just a very different speed growing up in New York
I
and
love that
Philadelphia.
life
And
can move that slow for you, Ray. Like for those people, but it cannot move that slow for you and me.
I have trouble here in LA. LA is sometimes too slow for me.
I mean, the summer is slow, and it's not slow.
Yeah.
What do you mean? I don't have 16 practices a week right now.
Right. Yeah.
Summertime and the living's easy.
Yeah. No, it's hard
30-something years old.
It's hard for us, folks. Oh man. All right. Let's move on from that. Before we talk about how old we are. Moving into the geek section. You know what got old really fast? The Acolyte.
This is a confusing show for me, Ray. I like. Can I lead into this, or did you have something you wanted to lead in with it? Go ahead.
You can start because I'm gonna probably have a rant, and so I'm gonna warm myself up.
This is the most confusing reaction I think I've ever had to a show. So let's just kind of break it down a few things. The combat, the lightsaber,
great.
9 out of 10. Yeah. Actually, some of the best combat in Star Wars I've ever seen.
100%.
From the battles to the bleeding of a lightsaber, a kyber crystal, excuse me.
Yeah.
To using the Force in appropriate ways, 9 out of 10.
Yeah.
Nobody disagrees. Pacing of the story, 3 out of 10. The story itself, 5 out of 10. The tease at the end, follow me here, 9 out of 10. The way it was portrayed, 2 out of 10. It's like, I'm completely confused on this. But here's the thing. It's like, this is the ultimate question. Well, do you want to see a second season? And before we get to it, this is what's funny. I do, but it's because I feel cheated. Like, give me what you were supposed to give me in this show, because I do want to see what you just teased, but I didn't need all this to get there.
And that, for me, is the big problem with this show. And I've been saying it all along.
You have. It
is meandering. It is bloated. This could have been a 2-hour film, the first of a trilogy. Instead, it's 4.5 hours. And so it is inconsistent in its pacing. They use dumb, childish, Disney-like gimmicks. We knew 5 minutes in that they were twins. Yeah. And then they're gonna be like, we're gonna do a parent trap thing. Oh, even though the Jedi read minds, you're not gonna know that I'm actually May. Oh,
gotcha.
It was terribly, terribly done in terms of gimmicks, in terms of writing, and I'll say this, a lot of the acting I felt was mediocre. I'll say, aside from Soul and from Kamir, that was basically, they were, to me, those are your two best characters by far, and they were supposed to be secondary characters. But how they leave it with Kamir and Osha, how they tease who we believe to be Plagueis, how they tease Yoda at the end.
They've
it's got to be Plagueis.
No, they've confirmed it's Plagueis.
They are so desperately trying to get us to come back for a second season that I don't want to come back for a second season.
Right.
I hate the desperation that reeks off of that is dripping off of this show to try to get Star Wars fans to tune in and to stay tuned in is palpable, and it is disgusting. This is another lightsaber swing and a miss from the modern Kathleen Kennedy Disney era. I cannot stand it. It is somebody who loves this needs to be in the room, in that writer's room, and needs to be like, this is fat, this is fat, this is fat. Trim the fat. Get to the point. Tell the story. Make the characters compelling. Stop ruining characters that you're borrowing from what is now the Legends universe and making them bend to your will, and because this is not what Star Wars fans want. And I'm sorry, but you were like, well, it's 100 years before everything. It's not going to connect. And then you still find ways to connect things. This is not operating in a vacuum.
Yeah.
Okay. You have to give respect to what came before. Stop crapping on what came before. Stop crapping on our childhood. And by the way, you can do new stuff and do it well. Mandalorian proved that. And still be true to Star Wars and make everybody happy. The kids were happy. The adults were happy. You know who's happy after Acolyte? Nobody! You're blowing it! You're blowing it! I got it!
And Ray's blowing out his mic by this. But look, this is what I'll say. Ray, I agree with everything you said, first off. Like, there's a lot wrong with this. It could have been a movie, and it would have actually been really good. It would have been a really great, oh, wow, that's how they're going to introduce Plagueis, and it could have been done in 2 hours. I 100% agree with this. The show peaked, what was it, episode 4?
Episode 5, I think.
Episode 5 with the fights and stuff like
yes,
that.
Yes, episode 5.
It peaked there. It peaked, and we said this might be the peak.
They were so desperate to fill 8 episodes that they literally repeated episode 3 as episode 7.
And it was a mistake.
It felt like this was the unused footage from episode 3, and they're like, we're just going to tell it from Soul's side of the story and have another episode.
And that's the thing that bugged me.
It changed nothing.
It didn't accomplish anything. And Ray and I said it, like, they would have been better off just not showing that original flashback episode and making or reversing them, right? I mean, I understand why they didn't want us to know that Saul did what he did, even though they've been insinuating it the entire series. Right. Look, here's the wins. They did introduce Darth Plagueis. And obviously the big reveal at the end is that Vanestra is going to tell Yoda that something's going on. All right. Which, again, it's like when you introduce Luke Skywalker at the end of season 2 of The Mandalorian, it's really hard to top that. That's probably one of the top 3 greatest reveals in television history. Yeah. Okay. It's really hard to top that. We talked about that in my car the other day about like the most surprised I've ever been in TV. And Caitlin brought up Luke. I said, that's definitely up there. It's definitely up there as one of the top 3.
I mean, and the thing with Yoda is we expected Yoda.
Well, we know
Yoda
he's
because
alive.
Of the time period. Yeah, we know the time period.
Here's the other thing too. If you're going to reveal Yoda, it was just the back of his head. It's like, guys, this is not a good reveal. You needed to do something with Yoda. There's also one other thing in the final episode. So Kamir is a great character. I really enjoy him. Obviously revealed that he is the student or the apprentice and not the master from the Rule of 2. It also coincides with him wanting to be on that planet that has found a Virgins in the Force that created life. That totally ties into Plagueis, who can manipulate midichlorians. So that part of the story was very interesting because that's part of the lore of Star Wars. Yeah, it took 45 minutes to give us 90 seconds of information. But Ray, we had another somehow Palpatine returned moment that not enough people are talking about in this episode. So the little furry character Basil, who's kind of always around. Yeah. For absolutely no reason sabotages Soul's. Yes, he turned on Soul for no reason. Well, he and now this is what's funny about it. There was no reason. So you're left to your own vices, and your vices are, I guess he has a conscience or something that has told him to do this. So an article comes out that explains why he did this. I'm not going to get into it other than the fact of, if you need to write me an article to explain why a character made this pretty important decision that basically got Saul killed. Right. If you really think about it, right? That's horrible storytelling. And by the way, I will tell you, the reason was basically that he had been watching and he was conflicted, and he understood that, like, that was not conveyed in the TV show. It was terribly done. Yeah. And by the way, that character was terribly conveyed. He made no sense to me. No, you did not need that tracker. It was just a cute little furry, like, it's a chance to sell dolls at Disneyland. Well, that's what I thought. Because it's a cute furry little character. That's it. The cutest characters were on that island, the Sith Island, the little mini elephant things. But those, yes, I agree. But again, stuff like that bugs me. All right. Now I will say this too, that really cool moments. Osha, again, spoiler if you haven't already figured that out, but Osha strangling Saul to death using the dark side, and then bleeding the Kyber crystal from blue to red. That was pretty good. Yeah. But it was short, and it was like, come on. Like that's that spin, that turn I liked it. I said this with Kylo Ren and Rey that I wanted
Yeah.
them to crisscross, and that would have been a
Right.
really good job. So Osha and May kind of crisscross,
Yeah.
but it's done so poorly. And then
Yeah.
on top of it, they mind wipe
The mind wipe.
Rey. And I'm
The
like,
mind. I've been wanting to say it for a minute. The freaking why? Why not just kill somebody? Kill her. Kill off the twins.
Or take her with you. I didn't understand. They just left her there?
No reason to mind wipe her and leave her there.
Well, the reason, this is what's dumb, is because they have to protect the fact that no one knows the Sith are returning 100 years later. But I just feel like it's a waste of a character because like she could have gone with Osha.
She was always a waste of a character.
Yeah, it was rough. Like
you didn't need to do the twins. You didn't need to do twins again. It's a dumb gimmick.
And
it's a dumb gimmick.
They didn't really explain that either, that they were kind of grown or something. I don't know.
Still don't know why they were doing the ceremony on the
point. We still don't know what was going on.
We still don't know what's going on. We have no and again, I have no reason to want to watch. And and you're still introducing new characters. In episode 8, we get David Harwood, aka the Martian Manhunter.
Yeah.
As I said, which by the way, his speech phenomenal. Amazingly
Didn't
acted.
make any sense.
But why is he there now?
Right. Let's just say this. I'm going to give this series, it's a 5 out of 10. The reason I'm not giving it a 4 is because of the combat. The combat kind of gave it a reason to watch. Like I did go back and watch every week. I wanted to watch every week. So I can't give it below a 5. Anything below a 5 it's a struggle for me to watch. But this is what I'll say, is that I love Star Wars so much, right? You know this, and you do too. We're not like fanboy haters.
No.
Like I know the fanboy haters, they hated this from episode 1.
No, we were on board. You can see our dark side turn on this show, and it's better than what was actually in the show because you can see how high we were on this and then where we ended up with this.
And this is the final thing I want to say is just I'm curious, like who was the showrunner? Like who was writing this? Who was in charge of these decisions? Because and this is the point I think we're making. It's like you kind of had something going here.
Yeah.
Right. And you just kind of dropped the ball a bit. And again, what I think is likely to happen, there's no way they're going to bring back an Acolyte season 2. It's more likely they're going to bring back a Darth Plagueis show or something like that to continue this in the future. But they're going to have to get new people to run it because, look, I wanted to see more Venestra. I wanted to see more of the 4 Jedi that committed the atrocity. I didn't want you to kill Carrie-Anne Moss in the first episode.
Yeah.
Right.
And then we only see her in flashbacks the whole rest of the show.
Yeah. Like I wanted to see more Plagueis, right? Like I think that they drastically, and I could be wrong. I just think they drastically underestimated the Star Wars audience with this show. Yeah. When people knew this was coming, we know they're alive, you know. And again, I think too that, and unfortunately they put this out there, it's kind of painfully obvious that some of the actors didn't know a ton about Star Wars.
Yeah.
All right. Now here's the thing. Here's the thing. All right. Like Harrison Ford admits all the time. You know, it's not my life. Star Wars is not my life. Right. Yeah. I know what I know, but you know, when you hear Harrison Ford talk about Han Solo,
he knows his
understanding of who Han Solo is, how he ad-libbed one of the most famous lines in movie history of I know. Like,
because he's an actor.
He's an actor. He got it. He made that character.
Yeah.
And like Disney, you can't have actors coming out speaking and literally have no idea what they're talking about.
Yeah.
I also like the rules of what balance is in the Force and the Sith and the Jedi. Like you're screwing around with this too much.
Yeah.
You know, because what they're doing with the Sith now, Ray, is like, this isn't untrue, but they're like, well, they feel all emotions and they can love and they can do all these things the Jedi can't do. And I'm like, guys, the way this was presented originally, and I'm not saying you have to stick with it, was that the Jedi are good and the Sith are evil. And it's like, if you stray away from that too much, you're gonna have a problem. You know what I mean?
Look,
like,
and look, we complain all the time that sometimes people try to make life too black and white, and like there should be shades of gray. But with Star Wars, we like the black and white.
Well, yeah,
like, you don't have to mess with that too much.
You diminish the dark side,
right?
And it's like
the light side. You also diminish the
yeah,
Jedi
well,
too.
it's like, yeah, this whole like, oh, the Jedi are imperfect. It's like, yeah, no, we know they
Sure,
fell.
we figured that we figured out in the prequels. We
We
figured that
figured that
out.
out in A New Hope when there was none of
Yeah.
them left.
Right. Like
Right. But like, and again, look, the previews have aged very well. All right. I'm sorry. The prequels have
yeah.
aged very well. But one of the reasons why they've aged well, and this was a mistake that they made but rectified, was that they cheapened the dark side in those prequels a bit. They made Anakin a bit of a wimp at some points, right?
Right.
Things like the Clone Wars and Rogue One changed that.
Yeah.
Ahsoka kind of brought that back of, oh, Anakin has this non-whiny side that he's a warrior.
Right.
But the key moment here, and follow me, is when Darth Vader appears in Rogue One as evil and sadistic and unrelenting and completely ready to murder everyone.
Yeah, a force of nature.
Right? You see that. In Ahsoka, they kind of show that. In Obi-Wan, he's relentless.
Yeah.
That's the dark side.
Yeah.
Okay. And he still was kind of weak in the dark side.
Yeah.
At the end.
Right.
So that's my point. Right.
Yeah.
You gotta be, I don't know, man. They can do better. That's what I'm going to say. It's a 5 out of 10. I'm not going to watch it again.
Honestly, they should have killed both the twins. They should have killed Amanda Stenberg, and then Kamir should have gone back to Plagueis and be like, they were not ready, my master.
That would have been great.
Something.
Or have them go to Dathomir and start the witch cult,
or
like the Night Sisters.
Or have Osha kill Kamir and then go back to Brendok and then Plagueis reveal himself. Like, I mean, there's so much they could have done.
Here's one they missed, right? Kamir and Saul could have been brothers.
They could have trained together with the Jedi because we know that Kamir was Venestra's apprentice.
Yeah.
They
by the way,
done
she's like,
so
I sensed
much.
you, and then that was it.
Yeah. That was it.
Yeah. So
like,
I'm gonna say
puts his Magneto helmet back on.
I feel like, and this is what bugs me. All right. It's a great setup for a season 2. I'm not gonna lie. Like the setup is like, oh, okay. Well, here, listen to me. My point is this: what they're promoting, I want to see. I want to see the story they're pushing at the end of this season. I want to see that. I'm not saying you, Ray. Like my ego is not so big that it's like, well, you screwed me this year, so I don't want to see it. No, I want to see a Plagueis story. I want to see more of Venestra. I want to see Yoda. I want to see that.
I'll wait for other people to watch it, and then I'll binge it if necessary.
Sure. What I don't like is that this season, like you ended a season feeling like you're setting up. The whole purpose of that last episode was to set up another season.
This was a 4.5 hour long prologue.
Right. And that's the point I'm trying to make is like, man, great shows end. And like I said this last, X-Men had a fantastic ending, and then they tease something that you want to come back, but you feel like that chapter is closed. It feels great. I don't feel like any chapter's closed.
Mandalorian too did it.
Mandalorian did it. Obi-Wan did it. I don't feel like any chapters are closed here. I feel like you just opened another book and you're like, okay, yeah, we know you didn't like this book. This book, you should read this book. You don't even need to finish this book. So again, I understand where you're coming from, Ray. I'm just saying, and
I also want to say
I want to see.
And I also want to say the showrunner Leslie Headland look is very accomplished and all this other stuff. And like, and supposedly, and she's a huge Star Wars fan, supposedly. But I feel like this is the Rian Johnson thing, right? Where like a huge Star Wars fan comes in, but thinks they know better.
Yeah.
And it does this, and because there's no overarching vision from Kathleen Kennedy and LucasArts and Disney, they kind of get a chance to go. They get the chance to go hog wild, and they end up screwing so much stuff up. Right. Like, because Rian Johnson's great director, great writer. We got the Knives Out stuff is great. I love that. Like,
but these guys can make a miss. Like people can make a miss. This was a bit of a miss. I'm going to say it one more time. And this is the problem, is that it costs too much money. It cost $180 million to make this, which is way too much. And I'm going to say it again. The combat was a 9 out of 10. I'm glad I watched the combat, but it's pretty disappointing.
And you know, you also mentioned the actors, and as an actor, this actually hit very close to home, right? About like I was just in an independent movie.
Yeah.
And I'll let you all know when it comes out. And
you better
not to talk badly about people, but you can tell the difference between an actor and a memorizer, right? And some of the folks were memorizers and some of us were actors, right? And there is nothing more frustrating than somebody who's just there, not to play a character, not to get into character, and they're just there to say their lines.
Yeah.
And it feels like there's, and I had that experience a little bit in one of my scenes recently, and you could see that here in Star Wars. There were actors in this show, and there were memorizers in this show, and unfortunately, there's a lot of memorization going on in Hollywood right now, and it comes through in the show what the difference between the actors and the memorizers, and unfortunately, there's a lot of memorizers in this show, and it takes the entire product down.
York. Well,
yeah.
Anyway.
I mean, he was. I'm sorry. Like, I was so happy when he had his neck snapped.
Well, it's like when he died, we were like, "Oh, it's a shame." Moving on.
It's like, no, it's like, thank goodness. Like, thank goodness. You shouldn't be rooting for people to die.
No,
and that's all I want. I wanted so much of that in this show because it just was so many terrible characters. So many.
Yeah, I also love when they have Kamir kill everybody, and then they're like, "Oh, you can like Kamir though, because he kind of gets it." I'm like, "What?"
Again, like, desperately trying. It just, you're trying so hard to make us like a bad guy for all the wrong reasons, and it's really bad writing, and it's really bad, and it's really sad that nobody in that room was aware of this, or even, and I get this sometimes when you're on the paper, things don't translate until you put it on camera. You call an audible. Right. As you're filming. Wouldn't be the first time that's happened. You spent $180 million. You could have afforded an audible.
Yeah.
You could have afforded an audible or 2 or 7. Anyway, it's Comic-Con weekly.
Yay! I hope Comic-Con does something Comic-Con-y because it has been a letdown for many years now.
Agreed. But there's a lot of rumors. Already some stuff has come out. We were just before the show, the Joker Folie the Joker 2 trailer dropped, which was amazing. Poor Lee had to listen to me laugh like a maniac for 5 minutes.
Well, that's 20 years of that, pal.
Sure, but it triggered the bright side in me.
You were happy. You were oddly happy. It was a little scary.
We also got the rumor that there have been some false plants for Deadpool
that was a good rumor.
Wolverine this week. Yeah.
That makes me feel good. That means some of the stuff that we're seeing or some of the stuff you're hearing is being planted, which is great because I've already got my ticket for this movie.
Me too.
I am terrified of the people that are going to spoil this film because there's going to be so much stuff that happens in this movie. Everyone that has seen it has already said. I think the best quote I got was that if Infinity War was a 9 and Endgame was an 8 in terms of the trajectory of the MCU, this is a 7.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm like, all right. So spoilers, we'll put our rules out again. Do not spoil this film. I'm seeing it as early as I literally can because I know people can't keep their mouths shut.
I'm already worried because they've already done the Hollywood premiere and I'm in LA and I'm worried somebody's going to say something before it's out publicly.
This is the earliest I've ever been scrolling by stuff on Facebook. Like if it looks like Deadpool, I don't look at it.
Yeah.
Because I don't want it ruined.
Yeah.
Right. 100%. Someone's going to ruin it.
100%.
Can't wait to see it. Good job. Good job for the misdirection, though.
The marketing has been phenomenal. They've done a wonderful job with this. Lee, are you excited for Joker 2? As excited as I am?
I don't know, Ray. It's a good question. I'm looking forward to it, but I don't feel the same way I was when I was like looking forward to The Dark Knight. I really appreciate the performance. I'm worried that they're going to ruin the character.
The first one. Yeah.
from Joker 1. Yeah. In the sense of like there was so much mystery, there was so much we didn't know, and I kind of enjoyed that. Yeah. I didn't feel like it needed a sequel. So I'm either going to be really like, wow, they did a great job, or like, okay, thanks.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what Lady Gaga does.
Well, she's going to be great. Yeah.
Yeah. I think I'm just curious. I again, to your point, I don't think there was room for a sequel in the first one.
Well,
because without you can only do so much with the Joker without Batman.
There's that, and then also like the message was kind of loud and clear in the first one.
Right.
It's like I don't necessarily need that again.
Right.
So like what's the bigger message? Now, again, we know Bruce is a kid in this this universe.
Yeah.
So it's like I don't know. We'll see where it goes. It's like I hope they're not trying to make a larger Batman universe out of this. Like that first movie was great, but we'll see. Like everybody signed on. That
Sure.
that Joaquin Phoenix and Lady Gaga don't typically do crap.
Right.
So there must have been something there that we didn't see. But like,
it's especially to bring Joaquin Phoenix back, right? Because of your point, he's
yeah,
very particular.
I wonder if it ends with him killing Bruce Wayne or something like that. You know what I mean? Like, not Bruce. I'm sorry,
like,
killing his
or Harley or
his dad. I'm sorry, Thomas Wayne. I apologize. I
Oh,
wonder if
right,
it ends
right,
with
right.
that.
Yeah.
Which, people, oh, it's not really him in the comics. I'm like, yeah, we changed that in the 80s, so it's okay.
Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah.
It's fine. It's okay.
That would be an ending, right? If he kills
Yeah.
Thomas Wayne and then Bruce is just like, vengeance.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, that could work. That could work.
Yeah.
Then what is it? Let's see. A couple other things. Marvel stuff, possibly more Marvel stuff. Rumors about either a Thor 5 or Doctor Strange 3 announcement. Obviously, Doctor Strange 3 in particular, we got to tease the end of Doctor Strange 2, so that could happen. And especially with all the multiverse stuff happening, I think these are probably just pipe dreams. These are just people hoping more than anything actually.
I think it's more likely you're going to get an updated timeline of what's coming.
Yeah. I think you're going to get X-Men stuff, Fantastic Four stuff, Secret War stuff before you get Doctor Strange 3 and or Thor 5.
I wouldn't be surprised if we see some Fantastic Four stuff like from that. But if Marvel's smart, they're going to redo the timeline. Again, the problem is also, Deadpool comes out Friday, so it's like they're going to have to, people are going to know stuff.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. I think Marvel's panel is Saturday, and people will have known stuff going into that. It's gonna be really interesting to see how this all pans
I'm sure we'll
out.
get. I wouldn't be surprised if we get a Strange and Thor announcement, especially for some of those like untitled picture date releases. But like we already know Thor is going to be against Hercules, and they tease that, and Doctor Strange is going to be with what's her name?
Cleo.
So I mean, we'll talk about it next episode, my friends. After Deadpool comes out.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of next week is going to be a big show. Again, because you're going to have Olympics starting, and you're going to have Comic-Con fallout. But last thing, one thing that has been confirmed by Todd McFarlane is that with Blumhouse, which of course is the horror studio, they have confirmed they have a script. They are moving forward with what they're calling King Spawn. We are getting a new Spawn movie. Sounds like it might be medieval Spawn, which would be really fascinating. And for a horror studio to do it, it's going to be graphic. It's going to be gory. And that's right in Spawn's wheelhouse. I mean, remember, folks, it was animated originally on HBO because it was the only way they could really show off some of the stuff they wanted to do. And then they did the movie in the 90s, which was okay. It was okay.
It was a 90s movie.
John Leguizamo did a great job as the clown.
Yeah, it was very 90s Batman.
Yes.
That's what it was. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that, but yeah, I'm excited for this. This is confirmed. It's been a long time since we've had Spawn, obviously, outside of the comics. He's made a couple of cameos here and there in some video games, but this is going to be, I'm excited for this. I'm excited to see what they do with Spawn and to see him kind of reinserted into the limelight. Lee, what are your thoughts?
I think with what The Boys has done on Amazon Prime, I think there's an audience for this. Ray, I'm going to say it live on you need to watch you will love this show. I think I might be wrong. I may be wrong, but I when I watch this, I think about you hysterically laughing watching it because it's so dark in the best way possible and a lot of shock value. But Spawn's story kind of works in that environment, if that makes sense.
Absolutely.
The Boys is wildly popular, and I think that would fall into that. And plus, I would love to discuss The Boys with you on the show because it's so graphic. Yeah, no,
I one of these days when I find another 100 hours or so in the middle of a week, I will.
You don't need 100. You don't need 100. You watch Invincible, right?
I watched the first season of Invincible.
Right. I mean, it's like a live action version of that.
Yeah.
It's that gory. I mean, it's good. Yeah. Season 2 of Invincible was like, okay, now we get it. That was another like, hey, get ready for season 3. And I'm like, okay, guys, thanks for that. It wasn't bad. It just wasn't as good as the first. But it did set up what could be a very good season 3. I'll say that.
Well, I have to catch up on that. I have to watch Fallout. I have so much stuff I need to watch. The thing is, you know what it is? I just still don't think of Amazon Prime as a content creation place.
It's
Seriously,
yeah.
I have this block in my brain because whenever somebody says, "Oh, are you on Prime?" and I'm like, I don't order stuff from Amazon.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you this, Ray. Look, they made the Lord of the Rings show. They've made some some of the top content from streaming services come from Amazon.
Sure.
So, if you can get it on the boys, I am telling you that I really believe you will enjoy that.
I probably would. I need to find the time, and I've got video games to play. So
okay, yeah. Spawn's coming. Enjoy
Spawn's coming. Spawn. I'm looking forward to the Spawn film. I'm curious to see who they cast as Spawn. And I'm curious to see what the story is. Are they going to do Angela? Are they going to do, what are they going to do? There's a lot they can do.
It's a good time to bring him back. Like, you can make that work.
It's been, again, probably like 25 years since he's been in any sort of like TV or film media. So it's going to be fascinating to see. But Lee, this has been a short show. We didn't have a lot of stuff to talk about.
No, but that's okay. There's a lot of good stuff.
Yes, I had a very long Star Wars rant because I really we need to put Kathleen Kennedy. Well, Kathleen Kennedy, welcome to the bus. You're in front of the bus now. So you, David Zaslav, and Commissioner of Baseball Manfred, you're all on the bus this week. So yay, dumb people. Anyway, thank you all for tuning in. We really appreciate it. Stay tuned. Probably gonna be a long. We'll make up for next week. Will probably be a long episode because we're gonna probably get a lot of Comic-Con news.
Exciting.
But for Lee, I'm Ray. Stay tuned for this week's mashup. Come see me at Flappers on Wednesday if you can.
Share this man's content. He deserves it.
Thank you. But yeah, until next time, for Lee, I'm Ray. See you all next time, everybody. This has been Geeks Who Like Sports.